Stacy's day in Nottingham began like any other. Recently, she had taken maternity leave from her job as a carer after welcoming her daughter, Ruby, into the world. Now, 8 months had flown by, and Stacy knew her time off would soon come to an end. Wanting to cherish every moment with Ruby, Stacy planned to introduce her daughter to one of her lifelong passions, horses. From a young age, Stacy had been enamored with these majestic animals. Growing up, her family owned 3 horses, and Stacy spent countless hours in their company. She developed a deep bond with them, learning to ride, braid their manes and tails, and even taking on the responsibility of caring for them, mucking out stalls, feeding, and grooming. Despite her love for horses, life eventually led Stacy away from her childhood home and her beloved equine companions as she pursued her own path. Unfortunately, Stacy's new home lacked the space for her to keep horses of her own. Renting a field and stable stall was financially out of reach, leaving Stacy unable to fulfill her dream of owning horses again. However, her inability to keep horses didn't dampen her desire to share her passion with her daughter, Ruby. Thankfully, Stacy had a friend who owned stables, and she eagerly asked if she could bring Ruby to meet the horses. Her friend happily agreed, looking forward to spending time with Stacy and her baby. Determined to make the most of her time off before returning to work, Stacy decided to visit the stables sooner rather than later. The next morning, after attending to Ruby's needs, Stacy prepared herself and her daughter for the visit to the stables. Excited to see how Ruby would react to the animals, Stacy hoped her daughter would enjoy the experience as much as she did. Despite Ruby's previous affection for their kitten at home, she was fussy and uncooperative as they prepared to leave. Nevertheless, Stacy hoped a car ride might soothe Ruby's tantrum and possibly even lull her to sleep. Stacy remained hopeful that even if Ruby slept through the visit, she would still cherish the time spent with the horses. However, her plans were thwarted as Ruby cried incessantly during the car ride. Stacy arrived at her friend's stable feeling flustered and unsure how to calm her upset daughter. Despite checking Ruby's diaper and attempting to feed her, nothing seemed to soothe her. Carrying Ruby in her car seat, Stacy greeted her friend, but Ruby continued to cry despite the attention from both women. Desperate for a solution, Stacy placed Ruby's car seat next to a stable stall occupied by a horse named Red. As Stacy prepared the milk for Ruby, she noticed a sudden silence in the stables. To her surprise, Ruby's cries had ceased, replaced by the sound of her giggles. Intrigued by the sudden change, Stacy ventured back to the stables to investigate. What she saw astonished her. Red, the horse, had leaned his head over the stable door and was gently rocking Ruby's car seat. With each nudge of his nose against the handle, the seat swayed back and forth, eliciting giggles of delight from Ruby. Reflecting on the heartwarming scene, Stacy expressed her emotions in an interview. "I was nearly in tears when I saw her reaction," she said. "When we walked in, Ruby was really upset, but when she saw Red, she stopped crying and just stared at him." For Stacy, who had grown up surrounded by horses, witnessing her daughter's joy in their presence was truly magical. "It was such a magical moment," she shared. As soon as she sat down with Red, it was like someone had flicked a switch. She kept pointing and looking at him, and she was loving it when he started rocking the car seat. Stacy couldn't help but marvel at the bond between Ruby and Red, grateful for the peaceful night's sleep that followed their memorable encounter. Observing her daughter's evident affinity for horses, Stacy cherished the enchanting bond unfolding before her. With a smile, she gently lifted Ruby into her arms, her tiny hand reaching out to touch Red's nose before they bid farewell to the stables. Determined to nurture Ruby's connection with horses, Stacy made regular visits to the stables, ensuring her daughter could spend time with her beloved friend, Red. As Ruby grew, Stacy enrolled her in riding lessons, eager to deepen her understanding and love for these magnificent animals. Together with her partner, Stacy dreamed of providing Ruby with her own horse when she was old enough, knowing that her daughter shared her passion for these creatures. It was a testament to the timeless bond between mother and daughter, exemplifying the adage, like mother, like daughter.